Hello, everybody. I am David, and today is my DCTV Talk podcast, where I'm going to be talking about everything on DCTV, or at least anything that I can. Mostly the live action stuff. I don't know if I'll talk about the animation stuff, because I haven't been watching too much DC animation on television lately. But I have been watching a lot of DC live action TV, such as Arrow, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, Gotham. I'm looking forward to the Watchmen series, which I'm going to talk about today, as well as the Titans series. That's going to be awesome. Hopefully I get to talk about that, as well as Black Lightning, which comes out, I believe, right in the new year on the CW as well. So there's a lot of great DC TV content to talk about, and I'm going to do a whole podcast on it. And let us begin with Gotham, because Gotham returned to television this week, season 4 of the series, and I did a little review video of it, and I won't be doing episode reviews for Gotham all the time. The only shows I will be doing all the time is Arrow and Flash. And then all the other DC TV shows I'll be talking about here on this podcast. Maybe some episodes I'll do reviews for, separate reviews, but for the most part, everything will be on this podcast when it comes to DC TV. So Gotham was a really great delight to have back this season. I wasn't too sure last season, season 3, when it ended with Bruce Wayne becoming a superhero, how I felt about that. I had kind of some mixed emotions about it, because to me, I felt they were kind of rushing it. So going into this, I was like kind of skeptical about it. And I'll admit, I was pleasantly surprised with how they handled it. I really liked it. There was one scene where I was kind of rolling my eyes a little bit because I felt they were kind of pushing it. But for the most part, I really enjoyed everything with Bruce and Alfred in this episode. Him kicking ass, him looking for information, the detective side of Bruce Wayne. I liked all of that. I liked it when he was at Penguin's club trying to find out how to find this list of all the criminals who have this certificate that Penguin's been giving out. I thought it was all great. It really felt like Batman to me. The other thing that felt like Batman that I thought they were pushing on too much was the part where Bruce went to GCPD to talk to Gordon. And he kind of appears and disappears randomly. And I know what they were doing. That's how Batman is in the comics, right? When he goes sees Gordon in the comics of Batman, he appears on the rooftop and disappears, like vanishes quickly. And they were kind of establishing that. But I felt for Gordon and Bruce, it didn't make sense for Bruce to do that, because he's not supposed to be that with Gordon yet. When he has the mask on, sure. But like this, it's like, is Gordon gonna know who Bruce is by the end of it? That's what I kind of thought to myself when I saw that scene. It's like, come on, guys. You shouldn't be doing this in front of Gordon. Save it for when he's like the vigilante, and then the vigilante goes to Gordon and does that. That I can see a little bit more. If Gordon starts to... I heard there's going to be a little bit of a rivalry. Not rivalry, but there's going to be a little bit of tension between Gordon and Bruce this season, with Bruce wearing the vigilante costume. So, which hasn't been given a name yet. He's not Batman yet. I'm going to call him Proto-Batman for now, until they give him a name. As long as it's not the Blur. If you've seen Smallville, you know what I'm talking about. As long as it's not the Blur, I'm happy. Because that was a dumb name. I also really liked the Penguin stuff in this episode. Him obviously giving the certificates to criminals. That is pissing off Gordon right now as well. And I I really thought, yeah, Gotham is now really corrupt. They have a mayor that's giving Mayor Penguin, Mayor Cobblepot is giving criminals certificates to go and do whatever they want, and the police can't do nothing. So, and Gordon knows now he's kind of on a leash, and he hates that. He doesn't want to be this. He doesn't want to let some of these criminals get off the hook like that. And I think this is eventually setting up what Gordon is going to realize down the road when he crosses paths with Bruce as this vigilante, as this proto-Batman. I think he's going to realize that he might need proto-Batman's help in order to take down these criminals. Because only someone who crosses the law will be able to take these people down and find out ways to stop them. So, yeah, I think they have a really, really nice setup here. And then there's the whole Selina stuff that's going on, and she's with Tabitha. Tabitha is, like, kind of taking Selina under her wing and teaching Selina how to defend herself and all that. Even though Selina's good at defending herself, she's teaching her how to use the whip also, how to take charge, how to use her sex appeal, all that. One of my favorite scenes in the episode that I don't remember if I mentioned it in my review, was the scene on the rooftop between Selina and Bruce, because it was kind of, to me, it was foreshadowing their future together as Batman and Catwoman. It felt very Batman and Catwoman to me, that moment, that scene. So I actually really like that scene, and both those two kids have good chemistry together, so it's always enjoyable to see them both. And I liked Alfred's line when he came, "Why can't you two go to the movie theater like normal teenagers your age?" It's kind of true. So I like that line, I like that moment. Edward Nygma is still frozen. I'm looking forward to seeing him unfrozen to see what he did to Penguin. We kind of got a glimpse of Monster Nygma there when Nygma was sprayed with the toxin, and he was seeing Monster Nygma. And then we also got to see the Scarecrow. Jonathan Crane returned. We haven't seen Jonathan Crane since season 1 of Gotham. I remember being okay with it. I thought the episode was alright. But now we get to see him at the very end there. He embraced his fear because of the fear toxin. He was seeing the Scarecrow monster come to life. And because he was stuck with that creature or that nightmare for some long hours, I suppose, he confronted his fear. Jonathan Crane is now dead, and the Scarecrow is now born. And this is going to be really exciting. It does make me wonder if this season will be a lot like Batman Begins, though, because now they have Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, whichever way. I forgot which way Gotham is pronouncing his name. There's so many different ways of pronouncing his name. You know, Batman Begins called him Ra's al Ghul. Then you have Batman the Animated Series calling him Ra's al Ghul. Then you have Arrow calling him both names, both takes on the names. I'm guessing it's Ra's al Ghul, though. Or Ra's, I don't care. Yeah, so with Ra's and Scarecrow, it feels like, are they going to recreate Batman Begins? Arrow kind of recreated the Dark Knight trilogy, but they didn't have Scarecrow. They had Brother Blood, who was very much like a Scarecrow-type character. But they did have Ra's al Ghul. And so now that Gotham has both, it makes me wonder if they're going to somehow kind of allude or reference Batman Begins in some way by having those two villains on this season. I don't know how prominently Scarecrow will play this season, but he is coming back in the next episode. I read a plot synopsis, so I'm looking forward to this season. The first episode already got me excited. Hopefully it's better than Season 3. I liked Season 3, but it was a step down from Season 2. Either way, both of them were better than season 1. Season 1 was like the first season that I felt they didn't know what they wanted the show to be yet, but I think season 2 found their way. Season 3, they kind of lost their way, but I feel like this episode, if it continues on like this episode, I think they'll have a really good season ahead of them. So, yeah, that's my Gotham recap, I guess. Let's talk about some news in the world of DC TV. Two big ones. The first one is Watchmen. Let's talk about Watchmen a little bit. HBO is developing a Watchmen series. Zack Snyder directed a Watchmen movie, which I'm going to admit, I thought it was alright. I've tried rewatching it, and every time I rewatch, I get a little bit bored of it. And yes, I've seen the extended cut, I've seen the theatrical, I've seen the movie in theaters when it was originally released, so I've seen it enough times to say that I think it's okay. It's not bad, it's not great. I don't care much for it, personally. But I hear how much the graphic novel is good. My brother read the graphic novel. He is really a fan of it. I have a cousin who read it, and is a few cousins and friends that have watched it and really love it. I have never read the graphic novel because I don't read much. I should, but I'm lazy. And I am looking forward to this TV series, mostly because Damon Lindelof is the showrunner. And Damon Lindelof produced one of my all-time favorite TV series, Lost. He's written some movies that I really enjoyed, like Star Trek Into Darkness and Prometheus. There's probably a whole lot of other things I'm missing right now. But yeah, I like the stuff that I can remember right now. I really like a lot of the stuff he touched on, specifically Lost. And knowing that he's going to do an HBO series of Watchmen sounds really cool to me. And you know what? I think for comic books, in many ways, especially a graphic novel, if people want to see a true representation of it, I think television is the better way at doing it. And HBO, you know, they do Game of Thrones. They give Game of Thrones a pretty good budget, where you have freaking dragons that almost look movie quality. And it makes me wonder, well, then, you know, they have to do a pretty good job with this then. And I believe it's going to be 8 episodes. And that sounds really cool to me. I don't know how anybody can be... I mean, I can see people being skeptical about it, but I mean, I don't know how people cannot be at least interested in the idea that this could potentially be a really good series. Yeah, so I'm hoping to hear more. Apparently they're going to be shooting the pilot. That's definitely a thing. Apparently Damon Lindelof is gathering a writer's room. So if they're gathering a writer's room, does that mean that they're potentially going to have more episodes? Are they just... from my understanding, it's only the pilot that's being shot right now. And then maybe, I guess, they're going to see how the pilot turns out, and if they get the go-ahead, maybe they'll go and shoot the rest of the other 7 episodes to make it 8 in total. Either way, I am really excited about this. Next, this is very recent news. We have the CW Arrowverse, the Arrowverse on the CW, which includes Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, The Flash, and Arrow. It was announced yesterday the title of their crossover events, which is going to be called Crisis on Earth X. This is going to be a true 4-part crossover, unlike last year's Invasion crossover, which was really a 3-part crossover, and they just threw Supergirl in there because the Supergirl episode had nothing to do with the crossover event. They just teased it, and then the other 3 episodes took care of it. This is really cool. Apparently, there was a little synopsis. The crossover is officially described as follows. I'm reading this off Superhero Hype. With all of the heroes in town to celebrate Barry and Iris's wedding, villains from Earth X crashed the festivities with a deadly agenda. I know I screwed up on that word, but forgive me. There was some other information I read somewhere else that there would be a character called the Ray, which would help, I guess, set up this CW Seed series, animated series, which would involve the Ray as well as the Freedom Fighters. It says something to that extent. I think this is awesome. Crisis on Earth X, clearly this is going to be like Crisis on Infinite Earths. They're probably going to borrow some ideas. There was an animated movie called Crisis on Two Earths. It'll probably have some ideas of that storyline mixed in here. So will we see some heroes on another Earth involved? From my understanding, they're going to be fighting their doppelgangers, the heroes of our Earth. Sounds a little bit like the Crime Syndicate in some ways. I think this is amazing, and I can't wait to see what they do with this crossover. What's going to happen? Barry and Iris getting married sounds really. It sounds like the way they should be going, and it sounds like the smart move to do it with a crossover as well, because with the crossover, you get to invite all those characters to their wedding, plus the Flash characters themselves. So it does sound really cool that that they're doing this on the crossover. It just makes me wonder if Oliver gets married, is he going to have all the characters come over to his show during their next crossover event? Who knows? But I'm happy that it makes sense that everybody will come to Barry and Iris's wedding. All of this is going to be airing on November 27, where Supergirl will air at 8 and Arrow at 9. Arrow is going to be on Thursdays, but it's going to be moving to Monday for the crossover event. And then The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow will air regularly on November 28th at 8 and 9, respectively. Look, what can I say about the crossover? I've enjoyed all the crossovers up to this point, so the fact that we're getting something this big and this huge, I can't wait to find out more details. We did get that brief picture of what looked like Sandman's mask. Not the Sandman. I know there's a darker, more gothic Sandman right now, but I'm talking about like the old school Sandman from the comics, from the JSA, which some people have been speculating that maybe the JSA will be involved in this somehow. Maybe, that's possible. I mean, they have plenty of JSA members already. Jay Garrick is out there, for an example. I believe Hawkman and Hawkgirl were also JSA members at one point. So, Stargirl is another one. So, it would be pretty cool if they got some JSA members together. There were some theories going around that maybe the Legion of Superheroes will be involved in some way. I don't think so, if this is a crisis storyline. But then again, it's 4 episodes, so as usual, I'm always looking forward to these crossover events. So I just can't wait for more information to come from this, because did you guys see the comic book cover that I believe it was a comic book artist that actually drew the cover? It looks really cool. I thought I really liked it, with all the designs of some of the characters. It actually looked like a really good comic book cover. So I think I'm done. I think that's it, guys. I think I talked about the things that I really wanted. Right now, this is my first episode to a weekly thing. I'll try to do this every Saturday. That way, all the shows have aired. I have more time to think about them. It's not just a 7 to 10 minute review. This will talk about a lot of things, news, mostly the shows themselves, especially when they're airing. I like to do comparisons. I like to say what my favorite episode of the week was and my least favorite. Unfortunately, I can't do that right now because Gotham right now is the only show that aired this week. But pretty soon, I think 2 more weeks, Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, and Legends are supposed to be starting up again. So 2 more weeks, hopefully, this podcast will sound a little bit more interesting. Hopefully. So until then, guys, I hope you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is where all my my videos and audio podcasts will go. If you guys like this, I definitely want to do a lot more. On the movie side of things, I want to do more, not just for DC, but for Marvel as well. I am a huge superhero fan, so I like to show love to all sides of superheroes. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DCEU are things that I really enjoy as well, and that I would like to talk about more in full length. But I want to see how well this podcast does first. So this is your first one. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys comment and all that too. I always like seeing what other fans have to say. So until next time, guys, take care.